HorrorDeconstruction.
What's up, everybody? It's the HorrorDeconstruction. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, but most likely on YouTube. Give us a like, share, and subscribe. Hit that bell icon. Hit that subscribe button with your host, Komp, for this solo deconstruction for the 31 days of horror leading up to Halloween. Today's film is Apostle. Apostle 2018. In 1905, a drifter on a dangerous mission to rescue his kidnapped sister tangles with a sinister religious cult on an isolated island. Directed and written by Gareth Evans, starring Dan Stevens, Richard Elfin, and Paul Higgins. So this was at the time, because it's a Netflix original film, obviously directed by Gareth Evans. This was the main reason why I went to go see this film in the first place. Gareth Evans directed the Raid films, Raid 1 and 2, which are two horror films that are fucking incredible. I mean, two action films, sorry. They're horror if you don't like action. They're action films that are just like incredibly well done action films, the first and second one. Unfortunately, there will be no third one, because I guess you're just not interested in telling a third one, or the second one had a pretty definitive ending to it, so they didn't need to do a third one, and that poor main character doesn't need to go through any more shit. But just see the Raid. See the Raid. Don't see the Apostle. See the Raid. Those are good movies. So you can see when I went to watch this film, I was like super let down. I was like, oh fuck. Like, not that it didn't have karate or nothing in it, but the Raid films had a style to them, and it was good directing, and everything was really well made. And I wasn't expecting fucking chopsaki karate or a salat or whatever the way they fight in this one, because it's a 1905 period piece. But it was interesting that it's a 1905 period piece horror film, and it's cults, and I was never really into cult films, but then I started watching stuff like Kill List, and obviously playing games like Resident Evil 4, which to me still is the greatest game of all time, and a bunch of games like that, right? A bunch of films and material like that, Hereditary, and all these movies that have cults and shit like that. I grew to really enjoy that type of stuff. So that's what this film was about. It's about this guy named Dan Stevens. For some reason, this guy, like, he was part of, and I always mispronounce the fucking name of this show, but he was in that series Downton Abbey, which I would always call Downtown Abbey before I realized, no, who cares? Call it Downtown. But anyway, Downton Abbey, and he left the show to become a big U.S. star, but it has not happened yet. He was in a movie called The Guest that people really say is good, as an interesting soundtrack to that. I have not watched that yet at the time of this recording, but he tried to make his mark out, and he's still working more regularly, which is fine, so good for him. But this was like a leading role for him, and his character is Thomas Richardson. He's obviously looking for his sister because his sister was kidnapped by these cultist weirdos, and this is back then when you can fake your you can still, I guess you can still fake your identification, but you know, this guy's trying to go into this place where people are leaving to find work because work's not good at this time, and he ends up in this sort of religious mystical cult. And I don't know, like, I didn't think it was going to be a supernatural film, but it does turn supernatural midway, and it feels like it's out of place, which is weird, because the character Malcolm is the guy who's sort of running the place. He was part of a two-man crew. Malcolm is the actor, where is his name? Michael Sheen, who's very good, and he's like this enigmatic, weird cult leader, but he's very, you can see people following him, and why is that? And his two hench guys with him, and obviously they're running this place that it has to be blood sacrifice, that the crops work. These are guys that we find out later on were persecuted in this other war, and they lost their belief in God, so then they started, I guess, channeling this new sort of deity that lives in this land. There's even there, and I think there are Resident Evil ideas in here. Like, they fight some fucking, this guy called the Grinder in it. Like, it's like a video game thing for some reason that comes out of nowhere. But I'm glad they put at least that. It was interesting. It's this masked dude who's like a slaughters people and feeds their blood. But it's just like, it just like feels like it comes out of nowhere. Like, it just feels all disjointed. And I was like, the other movies that Gareth Evans has done, like, at least the two that I've seen, made sense. Like, I don't know, maybe he should have had somebody crescent kicking people in this movie, because it just sort of felt like a weird like a cheap version of a Robert Eggers film or something like that. Like if they were trying to do to genre mash Robert Eggers or something like that. It was just so weird, and it didn't work for me, and I don't know why. Like I don't know what people think about this in general. They might just be lukewarm on it because it's got the cult aspect. It's got this guy like a sort of a detective mystery to it. Then it has all the weird cult, not the cult, the supernatural shit towards the end. It even has a evil henchman who's wearing a mask type of thing. But I don't know. For me, it just didn't work. Like I found it sort of a little bit boring. I was underwhelmed by the way that it all kind of wrapped up, and it was just like the acting is obviously very good by all these actors, but it just seemed like if we were watching like 4 episodes of a television series and they put them together, but then like it was just like who cares? Like I really didn't. I wasn't really impressed by the film, which sucks because Gareth Evans obviously knows how to direct, but I don't know what happened with this one. It just seemed like he probably needs a better writer that's more influenced, like more interested in this, because obviously since Gareth Evans did The Raid, let me see who wrote The Raid, see if The Raid was written by somebody else completely different than him. Maybe that's the issue, but I'm not sure. They tried to remake The Raid here with like the guys from the main actor from what the hell is that movie, The Purge. This part 2, 3, and 4. But like, why would you even try to remake it? Like that's a completely different style. Like, we're gonna do Western fighting style to do The Raid. Like you need that type of that film. So anyway, yeah, Gareth Evans wrote The Raid, so he knows how to write a pretty complex storyline for those 2 films. But I don't know what happened here. I think he tried to, at least he tried, but it's not worth sitting down to watch it. So with that, I would give this a 4 out of 10. Getting knocked out, waking up in some sort of BDSM lair, where they're gonna feed your blood to a woman stuck in the weeds, which is not a good way to start the afternoon. And with that, this has been the Horror Deconstruction.
The Horror Deconstruction.